Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. Another tragic defeat last night for DSG in the North American Challenger side, pretty much putting an end to their hopes to try and qualify and win Ascension based on the evidence we are seeing so far. What does this mean for the team going forwards? Ye is not a happy man, neither is Disguised Toast. What does the team need to change, and will serious roster changes be coming in the very near future? Very much enjoy to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Plenty to dive into. We'll get into this Disguised game in a few minutes time because, man, it was not a pretty one, it's got to be said. Firstly, though, let's talk about the Bagre of the week. So, as Noyan says here, this is hilarious, honestly, for many reasons. So, he did 2 rounds of this, right? So, I think he had 8 players down to the top 4. So, the Bagre, the catfish of the week, it's kind of like a thing in the Brazilian scene where basically the worst player gets an award. So, congratulations to the worst player. Now, the funny thing about this is that Sadak from Loud got the most votes here in this second vote. And this is because people didn't know what they're voting for. I think what happened here is that a lot of Brazilian Loud fans came across this thread that had almost 50,000 votes and saw a vote between, Mewis from MOBR, a couple of players from Sentinels, and saw that, Sadak was, was on options. They thought, oh, I'll pick Sadak, right? Because he's my IGL, he's my captain, he's my player for Loud. Not realizing that actually they were voting for the worst player of the week, basically. And they were probably wondering after they voted for Sadak why Dephh has so many votes. They're like, there's no way we're this competitive with the North Americans. Like, let's keep voting for Sadak and make sure he wins this poll. Not knowing, of course, that this actually was for the worst player of the week. So congratulations to Sadak. He manages to win the Bagre d'Or, which obviously, he was definitely not the worst player of the week. They won their games, but still pretty hilarious how this worked out. And Noy was explaining exactly what it is and why this happened. And then he says in the final tweet to the replies, I say, like always, the catfish educates. I'm sure the people who voted without really learned an important lesson this week. Never sign or vote for something that you don't know what it is. So pretty funny stuff, and maybe in future we will get a more superior version of this. Also wanted to mention though, the PlatChat VALORANT power rankings in the Americas. They currently believe it looks like this. This is kind of remarkable to me. I think a lot of these are sensible and they make sense. Certainly towards the bottom end, MRBR crew, 100 Thieves have been kind of in the mud lately as well, it's got to be said. Evil Geniuses being up in 5th is maybe slightly optimistic. I think they've definitely been looking better lately. To have them above, Leviathan and Sentinels is definitely an interesting debate. I think it's justified. They did take down Leviathan, right? So it makes sense to have them there. Better than Sentinels is also probably justified. So quite the statement really for EG to be 5th, but it might be fair enough right now. Then Fury, then NRG. I think this is fair enough. And then the other one, right, which is probably the hottest take here of the lot possibly, is Cloud9 number 1, because Loud are probably, I would say Loud are playing their games like scrims, to be honest. Yes, they're 6-0, whatever they are. They're top of the leaderboards. They're going to be their number 1 seed probably going into the playoffs, but it feels like they've been playing a lot of their series just for a bit of practice, really, right? Like they just tend to go in there, see what happens, and lose the first map, win the next 2. But in fairness, they haven't been looking necessarily peak form there, right? They still tend to win, but it's not been incredibly comfortable, whereas Cloud9 have been destroying most teams they play. So, what about that, right? Cloud9 could well be right now, at least according to PlatChat guys, the number 1 America's team. But how would they fare theoretically if they had to play a team like FNATIC? I would be interested to know. FNATIC extended their streak last night against Vitality. This was not a complete demolition job as we usually see. There was at least some rounds won by Vitality in this series, which is, we don't see this particularly often, but funny in a way, Icebox is now gone, a map where Durka and FNATIC have been incredibly good. So it's interesting to see how this goes for the teams, right? Because the likes of, let's say you're an NRG at the moment, you're quite happy that Icebox is gone. Okay, they were pretty good at that map as well, but they're happy for that Bind is back, right? So, NRG, Bind being back, they'll be happy with it. They were good on the OpTic side. Whereas it seemed like FNATIC, okay, they're good at Bind as well. They're good at every map, but they loved Icebox, right? There's a debate to be had on terms of who that helps, who that hurts. But Durka comes in, gets an ace in his first pistol round back. So it probably goes to show what they're up to. 2-0 for FNATIC again. They just don't even lose maps, this team. But they did come pretty close in this series, to be fair. Haven was 14-12. Vitality had a good first half, got counter back to overtime and eventually went down. But that was a good showing, I thought. Durka 30-19, and then Bind was 13-8 for FNATIC over Vitality. So again, not a complete demolition job. Tied first half, then FNATIC pulled away on the defensive side. Alpha had a great series here as well. So yeah, FNATIC win again. Not a massive surprise. We'll have a look at the rankings here. They're currently 6-0. They've lost 1 map so far, 12 in 1 map count. Pretty incredible. Definitely they are dominating, but it's yet to be seen whether they will completely take over the international scene. They of course won in the lock-in event, but it was very close between them and Loud it will still feel feel they should have won that event. Let's talk about the challenger side then on what's going on with DSG. One thing DSG have to worry about is not just qualifying for the playoffs, but it's also not getting relegated, because the bottom 2 teams at the end of this season will be relegated from the 2024 competition, and therefore those 2 open spots will be opened up to an open qualifier where those teams will re-qualify. So yeah, pretty interesting, right? That there's only, it's interesting to me that there's only 2 teams that get demoted here, because there could be other teams, you know, that are definitely worthy of it. And I would have thought maybe the bottom 4 teams get demoted and then 4 teams re-qualify, which of course could be the teams that get demoted, right? If Disguise are the bottom team and they get demoted, then they can re-qualify, obviously, as that roster or a different roster, whatever they want to do. But that makes it rather challenging, right? So yeah, we'll see how this goes. But I do feel bad for what's going on with Disguise at the moment. FaZe, though, they get 2 wins in a row. They take down All Esports last night. All Esports have been okay lately, actually. So decent result here from FaZe to take them down 2-1. Poised had a phenomenal series. Also IGLing, I believe, as well. So very impressive stuff. Bind was 13-8 to All Esports. Then they bounced back to 13-7, 13-4. So this is a demolition job towards the end of the series. Impressive result for FaZe, I thought, because All Esports have been pretty solid lately, and they advanced to a decent position in their group. We'll see in a second. But then we get to DSG, man, and these guys, it's honestly so painful to watch them play at times. Okay, look, fair play. Nerve did well here, got the clutch, gets the defuse in as well. So, I mean, look, DSG, they do well for a time, but there's some rounds they throw away that you simply wouldn't be able to believe. And they've got some talented players on this roster. I know that there's a lot of pressure on these guys. Of course, everyone's talking about Ye, and I feel like to a certain extent, Ye is kind of doing all he can. We'll look at the numbers here in a second. Yes, Ye's still making some mistakes, and he's not in a perfect position. We know that Ye was just untouchable when he had phenomenal teammates around him. When he doesn't, it's always more difficult to be incredibly impactful. But they still managed to find a way to lose that first map, DSG. Then it goes into game 2. They win this one here on the Ascent, and then it goes game 3, where there's an, I mean, this was just absolutely outrageous, right? Here we are on Split, and it's a 1v5. Governor comes in, gets on the defuse, and I don't even know what to say at this point. I'll just share what happens. I mean, I don't, like, no words. I'll just have a look here for what Tarek has to say. Toast is absolutely mind-blowing at what he's seeing here. Like, it's just shocking to witness.
And leaving it.
I don't know why I
saw a
said
lot of
that.
it on Lotus. We got a little bit of it on Ascent.
Yeah.
No way. No way. He's got enough time, Dryad. They have to kill him. He's got enough time, Dryad.
God.
I'm leaving Discord.
With the ninja diffuse and the clutch.
There's no way. We just saw that happen for Governor.
This is
Wow.
this is actually
Obviously not.
this is
happy
actually
about
what
that.
the did I just witness?
No chance, and DSG, they hear it? Surely not, right? Surely that's not what's happening to them, but it is. What? Surely that's not what's happening to them, but it is.
Oh. My
5 subs for the.
I've never seen
That
that.
does not happen. That does not happen. Four line coming off the back end of a ninja diffuse from Governor. Unfortunately, not much left behind. That is Rossi now the last one.
We're doing
standing.
charity
He's trying to
outwork
find
out
his way back into
here.
the round.
Bro!
Resurrection
We're
available,
doing charity
but
work out here.
wary of where the rest of the attacking team could be. This spike is just out of reach. And now we're
These
2v2.
motherfuckers think they're content creators, bro. We're here to win.
When a DSG that comes in.
So it's rounds like that where you're watching and you're just like, how are they even meant to win this series when you're going to throw around like that? Not even leaving anyone with the spike, not even trying. They just run away, get ninja. I mean, it's just such a disaster, man. And that wasn't even the only round. Like, there was other rounds where they should definitely have won and it wasn't happening, right? It's just the team play. And if you're Ye and you're the Jet and you're going in first, and sometimes you're going to die. That's how it is. You need the trade. You need the team to be there to support you. You need the spacing to be good on your teammates. And it just isn't there, right? They got rid of Steel. They brought in Exalters there, like new IGL. I didn't really understand that, to be honest. And yeah, I don't know. Questionable decisions, I think, from this entire camp lately. And the players they have are solid, but they're nothing spectacular apart from Ye, who's still playing well. But I mean, Ye's obviously struggling a little bit as a result. Just wanted to share this in Disguise Toast. He comes up with an explainer because they're pretty much out of things now, I would say, in the challenger side. Sorry to the DSG fans for our performances. Esports has definitely been one of the more challenging experiences I've faced in my career. I've always been pretty confident in my content, but the first time in a long while, I've been having doubts about my decision making. Ultimately, I have to approve all the decisions regarding the team, but because I never had any competitive FPS experience, I now need to make choices over the livelihoods of players, of these young guys who are trying to make a living pursuing their aspirations. It's hard because losing is bad enough as it is for them, but losing on DSG feels extra bad because there's so much attention on us coming into the league, and we just haven't been able to get a win. And with each loss, the pressure and stress builds and builds on the players. They all message me after each loss apologizing for their performances, and it really sucks to see them so defeated. They're just trying their best, and that is all everyone can ask. I don't regret getting into this space. I'm very proud of what we have done in the short time we've been here, and I'm still excited for the future. I don't know if it's appropriate from a team owner to talk about this hard time so publicly, but I know a lot of you have supported DSG because of me, and I really wanted to show you guys my journey into this space. It's easy to be happy when one is winning, but I also think it's important to show the times when one is at their lows. Hope to make you all proud one day. So quite the same idea from Toast, and I think it's a nice way to put it really, that it's difficult on a lot of these players. The pressure is most certainly on them, and look, individually, has he made the best decisions with his roster? Possibly not, but this has happened before with other guys that have come in maybe as former content creators or former players, tried to make their own organization. 100 Thieves, for example, when they first started back in 2016, they first put a team together. They were terrible. They couldn't even win a map. Najot decided to dip out of there, change his team, and eventually came back with a much stronger one a few years later that actually won a couple of events. And Toast might have to take a similar route here, where he decides, you know what, I want to keep these guys around. They've been good for the brands, but fundamentally the team isn't that good and changes need to be made. So yeah, I don't know what he's going to do. It's obviously a difficult call, as Ye kind of replies and says, feel sorry for the fans as well. In my experience with Toast, he's been incredible as an org owner. He really does care more than any other I've seen. If anyone deserves success, he does. Also, I'm sorry I had opportunities to potentially close out to extend our games, missed a few key shots that I was fully capable of hitting. Toast deserves a win, and I'll do everything in my power to win, to be the best I can be. So, Ye probably knows that he needs to hard carry, right? And if he's not doing so, then the team is struggling. But, I mean, it's kind of a point where what more can Ye do in a sense? 67 in 54 on the Jet, 24 first kills, 13 first deaths. The split, for example, he was 9 in 1 at first kills to first deaths, and they still lose 13-10. It's like, at that point, what more can you realistically do if you're Ye? Want to give credit to Rossi, though, on the other side. It's not all about Disguise playing poorly. You've got to give credit to Rossi and others for really turning up here for Turtle Troop. So they delivered a good result in series. But yeah, I think it's coming back at some point. There's some of the guys that they signed. There's some talents on this roster, but fundamentally, they're just not anywhere near coherent enough to actually compete on this level. And that leaves Disguise at 0-3 in their group so far. 2 map wins so far. And yeah, it ain't looking good. For them to qualify now for the playoffs is probably not going to happen at this point. And Toast, despite I'm sure loving these guys and what they've done, will need to have a serious think about changes in the near future to actually make Disguise a successful team, because they most certainly don't want to get relegated from challenges, and that is a very likely possibility as it stands. So very much enjoyed to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.